What is up, guys, and welcome back to episode number 7 of the Dawn of Man series. The series in which we discuss where the future of humanity is going to take us in the next 30 years. Guys, in today's episode, we're going to talk about a super exciting topic that I've been looking forward to for a long time, and it is the future of virtual reality and where VR can really take us and what some of the questions are that we will have to answer in the coming years. So for those of you that are not familiar with VR, virtual reality is essentially adding another layer on top of base reality. Base reality being whatever we're experiencing right here, right now. And the idea is that virtual reality is not just, those goggles that you see, the Oculus Rift, where people, go play some video games. In fact, virtual reality already exists, and every single one of you watching this right now has experienced it. Because when we talk about virtual reality, we're simply talking about you removing yourself from base reality and experiencing another reality. So that is TV, that is video games, and a lot of other things along the lines where you're basically making an experience of something that is not there right now. So you are actually watching this video right now, and if you're truly immersed, you're not in your own reality back. Like a lot of people, when they play video games, for example, right, they forget about this fact that they're sitting in their house, at their laptop and all that. But really, in their mind, they're starting to think they are the character. Their emotions, when they hit the button, they don't think I'm hitting a button, they're thinking I'm shooting the gun. So virtual reality is all about removing you from base reality and bringing you to a whole new level of reality that we ourselves created. So, and the goal for virtual reality is really over the next coming years to make it more and more immersive. So that's why I wanted to make the point that it's not us now versus virtual reality future. It's we already have virtual reality, we already have games, we already have TV and movies and all that kind of stuff. Now the goal will simply be, and the changes and the progress will focus around making it more immersive. So what that really means is that you will be less and less capable of telling the difference of the virtual reality to the base reality, where it's not just sight and hearing, but much rather you can feel it, you can taste, you can smell it. Basically that we enhance all the senses and really get them engaged so that at some point you will no longer be able to tell a difference between what is virtual reality and what is base reality. And we can go really deep down the rabbit hole where you can go from base reality to virtual reality, and maybe there's a virtual reality after virtual reality, and so on. But here are the two big changes that will be happening in the future when it comes to virtual reality. The first one will be focusing around how games and movies will sort of merge. And the way I explain that in my book, Dawn of Man, the same title as the series, is that what we'll have in the future is experiences, right? Because when we talk about movies, the word itself, comes from the Latin word movere, which means to move, literally. Something is moving images. But when we talk about virtual reality, it's less about moving images, but much rather about having a full-on experience, right? So when I look at the future with virtual reality, will truly be experiences rather than movies or games. So, and the way they converge is that there will be guided and unguided virtual reality experiences, really. So the guided ones are essentially like movies, right? So when you buy a movie ticket, you go in there to see a story. Now in the future, we will most likely go to something like a movie theater, right? And you can buy your ticket, or you do it from home and have some machine, and or maybe it's even like already biologically integrating yourself, and you will have an experience where literally the movie, so to say, to keep it in simple terms, guides you through the experience, where you think, where your whole body feels, smells, tastes everything that the main character is experiencing. So, if you're talking about a war movie and the main character gets shot, you will probably feel as if you're getting shot. When the main character, makes out with a girl, then you'll probably feel as if you were actually the main character making out with a girl. So the whole idea is that we'll make the movie experience truly an experience that's fully immersive with all 5 senses, where you forget that I am, for example, Felix Hartmann right here, right now. But for the time where I enter the closed loop experience that is guided, I will become someone else. And the pre-programmed movie experience, so to say, will guide me through the whole process. So it's not I that make the decisions, but it's pre-programmed the decisions that I make, and I will experience them. So that is where I think movies will go. I think movies will become fully immersive, but that might take another 20 years. Yes, we have XD and 4D and all that kind of stuff, but it's kind of cheap. It's not there yet. It's not so good that most people actually choose the traditional. The way I can see a change in that is maybe over the next 20 years, but it will come truly after gaming has mastered it first, right? So once gaming masters it, it becomes so immersive and so attractive that people will start playing with the idea, hey, what if we make a movie like a video game where it's pre-programmed, where you experience all the different technologies that are already there. And as for video games, the future will be that they will be unguided, right? So that you can essentially do as an individual game, do as you please, but it will again be fully immersive, where you see everything, you hear everything, you feel everything, you taste and hear. Essentially, again, engage all the 5 senses. So pillar 1 of the future of VR will be these experiences, whether they're guided or unguided. That will be it. Now, the difference between pillar 1 and pillar 2 is that pillar 1 is a closed loop, meaning the game developers predetermine that this is the beginning of the storyline, this is the end of the storyline. And if it's guided, we'll even say like this is the beginning of the storyline, this is where the storyline goes along, and this is the end. Boom, done. So you enter it and you exit it. But the second pillar, and this will truly be the true future of virtual reality, and this will come afterwards, it's essentially open playing fields. And we already experience this now, we know, with massive multiplayer online games, where essentially you can go into the virtual reality and there is no goal, there is no outcome, but much rather it's an open playing field that multiple people can join in. And the beautiful, amazing thing and kind of creepy thing at the same time will be that there will be its own laws. The own natural laws, perhaps you can fly, perhaps you can do things that you can't do in our real world, and also its own political laws. Right? So that, for example, some things maybe might be illegal in the real world that are legal in the virtual reality. Literally, whoever created, and this is a whole nother debate we'll get into in a second, whoever creates the virtual reality that then people join in can determine what the laws will be. Unless, of course, it's decentralized. And so there's already a blockchain. I don't know how successful it will be, but there's something called Decentraland, which tries to decentralize online virtual reality. And it's already sold off, real estate in virtual reality, where people can then, as a community vote on what are the rules, what are the laws governing this virtual reality. And beyond that, the exciting thing we'll be now looking at is that there will be its own economies. And when I say economies, we're truly talking about realms of value, right? Because people don't even, we already saw this little change happen with Twitch, for example, right? Where people can actually make a lot of money playing video games, or people are, selling skins online or selling weapons and all that kind of stuff. But now when we talk about virtual reality, if virtual reality becomes as close to real reality, you can essentially copy every single job, every single value from the real world to the virtual world. Where now, for example, if you're one of the first movers, you might actually buy up a big chunk of virtual real estate that in the future you'll be able to sell or to rent to other people. Because look, if the person loves virtual reality just as much, or if not more than base reality, they will be willing to pay quite a lot of money to have that virtual mansion, to have the virtual Lambo, whatever it is. See, when virtual reality becomes as close to real reality, then all of a sudden it's no longer just a game, but people are willing to spend money on it. And then people will have jobs inside of virtual reality, people will make money inside of virtual reality, and they'll spend money inside of virtual reality. And thereby it becomes its own little economy, its own little system, and all of a sudden it's no longer this game, this escapism, but it's this real new reality that we created that can now contend with base reality. So with that, we have to answer some moral questions. You see, with all that I just described, we have to decide whether or not, virtual reality is really bad. When we talk about video games, parents will always say, oh, my kid's just spending all this time on the computer, he's not spending time in real life. Well, if virtual reality becomes as real life, then is it bad that you don't spend as much time in base reality? Because maybe virtual reality makes them happier. Maybe they actually earn more money in virtual reality. So then we have to decide whether or not virtual reality is just some sick and twisted concept of escapism, or perhaps, just perhaps, it's man's greatest feat at truly defining and creating their own circumstances. See, maybe for some people, they had some disabilities in their life. Maybe for some people, really horrible things happened to them in their real life that prevented them, in the base reality, that prevented them from, living the lives that they wanted. So now in virtual reality, they can be whoever they want to be. Maybe somebody without limbs can walk all of a sudden. Maybe somebody that was mute and couldn't talk all of a sudden can talk. Maybe somebody that didn't have maybe the genetics for being a model or basketball player can now be an all-star basketball player. See, the limits are truly boundless. So that's why we have to redefine whether or not is virtual reality a bad thing, or perhaps is it just us upgrading what we perceive as reality. Alright, so the second moral question that we need to answer is whether or not base reality should have the right to regulate virtual reality. You see, if virtual reality becomes as real as base reality, then should base reality law enforcement, for example, have the right to overrule what happens in virtual reality? Say somebody, for example, commits, theft or commits some kind of crime in virtual reality that perhaps is even legal in virtual reality. Should the law enforcement have the right to do something in base reality? And then a second layer would also be, in base reality, should we even have the right to remove somebody from virtual reality? You see, say a family member, for example, is in virtual reality and has been in it for a long time. Should we have even the right to remove them from it when they can, for example, physically sustain? So those are all kind of questions that we have to answer and see whether or not, base reality should have any kind of say over virtual reality. All right, so then the final question becomes, if virtual reality can become as real as base reality, then what if what we're experiencing right here, right now, that we think is base reality, is really virtual reality? See, and this is a question, let that in for a second first, right? That this right now is virtual reality. And the crazy thing is there's the whole concept of the simulation theory, which many people subscribe to, including Elon Musk, who says there's a 1 in a 6 billion chance that this is not a virtual reality. So essentially, he agrees that we're probably living in a simulation. But for that one, I have no answer. But that's just something for you to think about. Because if we see that we might be moving into a future, but virtual reality becomes just as immersive, just as real as base reality, then what if we're already living in it? So, if this was virtual reality, is it bad? And if it is, how can we escape? Right? So, and that is the same kind of mindset you have to approach virtual reality with. Because if this right now isn't bad, then why would virtual reality be bad if it becomes just as real as what we're experiencing right now? So guys, I know these were a lot of questions, and a lot of them are not as easy to answer as most of the other concepts that we've talked about in the past, because we're really challenging the underlying concept of what reality really is, what reality really means, and how we engage with it. And again, the crazy thing is, for this series, most of this stuff will happen during our lifetime. So just be ready for it, be aware for it. And if you have any answers to the questions, I would love to hear them in the comments, right? Leave the comment with your thoughts, or whether you think we're in a simulation, whether you think virtual reality is bad, whether it's maybe even a great thing that we can finally escape and become live our ideal lives. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one.